All right, guys, we got a final update, if you will, on the charger situation, the plate here. So this is the deck plate with the cubby and the lid and all the rest of that. All of this is now finalized. So the cable channel over here has a TPU bumper, which is 3D printed. I was originally trying to do some like vinyl corner strip stuff, rubberized of some sort, whatever it was, vinyl or rubber. And it wouldn't go around the corners nicely. So I decided to print it. Came out nicely there. You can see it goes around the back side, keeps all your wires from getting chafed on the metal entry. And then I just finished the cubby side. So this is the final version. This is what you'll get. So this is a little 3D printed cubby. It's about 3.5 inches wide and like 3 inches tall, something like that. Maybe like 2.8 or something like that. For the top of it, this is the second revision. I had originally made one that had the tab in the middle down here, which is kind of close to the edge, and then the straps up here were a little too thick and a little too short. So I've lengthened those a little bit. See if I can get this in here one-handed. Well, I'll show you down in there first. There is a little lip on the inside edge here, and that little lip on the inside edge is so that I basically, you really won't be able to see this very well, I don't think. Yeah, maybe you can. So the little channel up here is what the lid actually seats into. So in order to keep the lid sealing on there, I basically made the little lip for it to lock into. This is a little tighter than I would probably normally do for like some of my other hobbies for, 3D printing and such. But this, in the environment that it's gonna be in, I figured a little tight was better than a little loose. And it's still not hard to get in there if you use 2 hands. I just did it one-handed without too much trouble. So that is latched down. This is also TPU, as mentioned. So TPU here, TPU here. That is a thermoplastic polyurethane. So this is some pretty rigid stuff. It is the same thing they made the tubes out of, but this is clearly not as thin as the tubes on the Stark. So setting that to the side for the moment. The box underneath here is made of ABS plastic. So ABS plastic on the bottom should hold up pretty well. TPU on the top for the lid. Moving to the case. So the case itself, I do have the old style plug on here. I did redo the wiring on that, but the old style plug does not bother me too much. So this is the wiring. This is what goes to the bike to charge it. I have that on a 3D printed mount. Let me get these cables out of here to show you that. So this is a 3D printed bracket that spaces the cable up and away. You can see that it's got a taper from one corner down there. It's got some extra space. The cord actually goes underneath, 2 zip ties to hold it in place, comes up and out. I did that so that the cable had the maximum length that I could get to it so that you could still plug the bike in. And if this is gonna be sitting on the ground next to the bike, it's gonna go straight up anyway. So this indexes on the charger. You see this little square section at the top. The charger's got these 2 little kind of arms that come over on these edges here. So the square kind of locks that in place. You'll see that I can't actually rotate it more than 10 degrees maybe, one way or the other. So with that, I've actually got, I don't know if this is common with my charger or other chargers or whatever else, but the cables come underneath here. This is not super tight. You can see I can wiggle it with my fingers without any issue. I don't know why it's as long as it is, whatever's in this tube, but that is the high voltage DC output side. So splits off to the sensing side, high voltage DC output, AC input. So the way this whole thing goes together, and it would be a little easier if I didn't just take all these cables out and didn't only have one hand available. But if I take all these wires over here, let's see if I can stuff them back down in here for a minute. When you get this, obviously the charger's not going to be mounted. So what you will need to do is you will need to bolt the deck plate on first. So the deck plate will go onto your charger directly. Let me get all this through just so I can get all this nice and clean. So what you will do when you get yours is you will bolt your charger to the deck plate, just like this, and there's a little bit of wiggle room on there. So you'll see that the right side in particular of the charger, the holes are a little oblonged. Should be able to see that. The left side, they're a little tighter. So what my suggestion would be to bolt the top on. in the spot that everything seems to fit in and everything kind of makes the most sense in. So wherever it ends up sitting comfortably, bolted in place, lining up with the holes in the top, not necessarily the slots in the bottom. And then once you have all this bolted in place, matter of fact, here, I got the nuts. So put the nuts in place. And for those curious, I did not put this on with an impact driver, but I did put this on with a drill driver, if you will. So these nuts, if you look, are actually lock nuts. That's why they're digging into the aluminum, because the nuts are steel and the aluminum gives before the steel does. So I got a little Milwaukee Fuel. It's a little M12 drill driver thing. It's got swappable heads on it. I basically just give them a little bit of a snug. And that's all you need. So that is now tight enough. Bolt it together like that. You'll want to take a paint pen and put it on the bottoms of the little feet there, if you will. Take a paint pen, dab on there, set the whole thing down inside the enclosure. You can take the cables off when you do this. Set the whole thing inside the enclosure, make sure that it fits all the way around the edges. There's a little bit of room around the edges. May or may not be able to see, it's tight to the right now. That's just where it ended up getting tightened down. No big deal. Once you mark it with a paint pen, pull the whole thing back out, drill your holes in the bottom, put the whole thing back in, find your holes on the bottom, screw them in from the bottom, away you go. Speaking of on the bottom, this setup does include 4 TPU feet. I'm trying to not squish my wires here. So you'll see here are my 4 screws. Those are the factory Stark screws. Let's see if I can get this a little further. There we go. So factory Stark screws, that's where it's bolted in on mine. I may see about just marking the ones that I'm going to be sending out if I can get the positioning more or less accurate with like a set of calipers or something. So here's the feet, also TPU. A lot of TPU, pretty good team here. But this stuff works really well for these types of things. So it's kind of a hard rubber, but it is still soft enough to, what's the word I'm looking for, cushion, I guess, if you will. So I'll come with all 4 of those pre-installed, and I'm gonna wrap the entire case. Sorry. And I'm gonna wrap the entire case with like a cellophane or something, some sort of a cling wrap to try to avoid any shipping damage, and also so that I can put the shipping label on it, so it's not stuck to the thing with your address on it and try to peel it off and it rips or whatever else. So, but this is the final. This is everything in it. Again, you've got the cubby in the corner. It's a little hard to open one-handed and hold down the case with the other. Again, would rather have it a little tight than a little loose because it will loosen up over time most likely. Not going to hold a lot of stuff in there, but it's not an insignificant amount of storage. So figured the space was there. I'd rather put it there and then have the space and not need it than, you know, need the space and not have anything for it. So putting that back in. Again, that lip will get a little bit easier as you go. A little flap in the corner should stay together pretty nicely. And then as far as cables go, I usually pull this one to the side. That's the charge cord. Pull the charge cord itself to the side. And then I will wrap the AC cable. So mine's already got a bit of a trained memory going. This is really hard to do one-handed while recording here. Alright, so there's the struggle there. All the way up and in. Away you go. Obviously, if you got 2 hands, this goes a heck of a lot faster. But that's what you're left with. So there's the first cable. Comes from back over there in that corner. And then I just loop it up and around. Keeps it nice and tidy in here. Nothing is sticking above the deck plate at the moment. Now for the actual charge cord, since this does come straight out, I just put a bit of a loop on the end of it and tuck it under the one side. leaving the top end of it out so that it doesn't get pinched or squished or anything. So, tuck that in, tuck that in. Now my charger is right here. It's looped around as well. It's got a nice sweeping flex right here. There's no sharp bends, there's no anything else. Goes comfortably down, around, back over into there. So this is 100% finished. All you gotta do is close the top, latch it together, and it's ready to go. So very clean, very neat, very tidy. You can still get dirt and stuff down in here, and the only thing holding this plate in right now is the charger itself. So if you drop this hard enough, you can actually break the charger studs, either from the backside or on the little studs that are down here, these guys. I've heard reports of those breaking. So I've not had my Stark long enough to test that theory. Hopefully I don't ever get the chance to. I am contemplating a version 2 that I can add a couple of mount bolts over there and a couple of mount bolts over here. And basically I'll make a bracket that I can 3M VHB tape to either side, which should stay together pretty well. And that'll give some extra rigidity to that. Maybe that'll be a V2 thing, but it's likely not needed. But it's one of those that, again, kind of a better to have and not need than need and not have type of situation. So you can see there's a little bit of flex in this corner. This is the furthest away point. And the only thing it's doing is just keeping the wires in place. So I don't foresee that being an issue. And a little bit of flex can be a good thing. You don't want anything too rigid because too rigid things tend to break. So that's the whole charger setup. Put whatever you want in your cubby, close up the top. If you need extra nuts or bolts or whatever for the bike, if you need to throw like a small tool of some sort in there, you can do that. And this does basically touch the bottom. So there is about 1 millimeter of space, maybe 2 millimeters. I don't think it's quite that much, but there should be about 1 millimeter of space underneath the back of the box there. So it's not gonna go down very far there. Could go down further over here, but again, shouldn't be an issue. Close the lid. Apache 3800 case. One single package ready to go. It does have whatever this little like breather screw is. I guess it's designed to be waterproof, but you're probably just gonna leave that closed. And then the feet are stuck on with double-sided tape. It is some pretty sticky tape, but it is also very thin. So on the off chance that it ends up getting knocked off somehow, you'd wanna find some thin stuff as well. These are like 7 millimeters tall, and they're 7 millimeters tall because those bolt heads stick out like, I don't know, 2-3 millimeters. So I wanted enough space on there to sit flat without the chance of that causing any issues. But there it is. That's the entire thing. Weighs about 21 pounds. The charger and cables are 15 or 16 pounds. Harbor Freight's listing on this case is like 5.98 pounds for the case itself. And I did a quick measure of it just by me holding it on a bathroom scale, and it showed that it was about 21 pounds on the nose. So that's what we got. Pretty happy with how that turned out. It's nice and clean. I've had my Stark for 2 weeks officially today, and I've already gone through and made my own touches to it. So pretty happy with how that's looking. Next up is to, test it out while I'm actually out riding. So I've tested it out in this configuration as it sits. It still charges the bike just fine. All the lights turn on that are supposed to turn on. All the bike's lights stay off that are supposed to stay off. So no errors or hiccups or anything else. One thing to point out on this guy, it is using 10 M3 screws. M3s are pretty small, but 10 of them distributes the load pretty evenly. The TPU is a little soft, so I added these 12 millimeter M3 washers. All of those will come with them. This whole cubby setup will be pre-installed when it gets shipped out. But with the way these are set up, there should be no issues with any of that. The only question or concern, if you will, is just that there is a screw right under this side, but it really doesn't cause any issues. So grab the corner, pop it up, away you go. There you go. That's all I got. 15-minute video. Probably could have standed to be like 6, but I'll trim it down as needed. Talk to you guys later.